Hello, I'm Stan Gramberg with Kairos Church Planting and glad you're here with us at KairosCourses. I want to tell you congratulations, you have done it. You've accomplished a major goal, conducted a significant event, or completed a long-term project. And now it's time to sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? No. When you've accomplished something major, you've reached one of those valuable inflection points. A powerful point of leveraged learning when you can gain perspective on your work that can boost you to better understanding and ability to maximize your efforts. Think of a rocket that's gone as far as its first stage engine can take it, and now the second stage kicks off to boost it even higher. Well, unfortunately, human nature makes all of us susceptible to missing this unique learning opportunity. Whenever we've completed a focused time of intense work activity, our first instinct is to take a deep breath and think, oh, glad that's over, and get on to life as normal. But in our current series on conducting a spring growth surge, you've spent the last almost 3 months creating your Easter storyboard, upgrading your signage, cleaning up and improving your facilities, making videos for and preparing social media posts, creating new preaching series, stimulating a culture of invitation in your church, activating a sense of hospitality through your guest experience team, and finally, you had a big day, Easter Sunday, followed 2 weeks later by Mother's Day. Wow, that's amazing. And what we've heard from a number of you is that you felt like you've been drinking from a fire hose and it's time to turn off the water. You've also told us some amazing stories of people who have attended your church, and attendance on Easter Sunday that on average was 30% bigger than your average Sunday attendance. I've just got to tell you, well done. And we're thankful to have had the opportunity to encourage you and be a partner in the kingdom with you. But before you sit back and take that well-earned rest, let's take the time to engage what Peter Senge calls one of the 5 disciplines of learning organizations. And discipline 4 he calls team learning. In team learning, Senge says the team comes together in cooperative dialogue, daring to investigate the reality of their work in order to maximize their mutual effort. And to do this, we're going to train you to use a tool I learned from Tom Patterson in the Patterson Center in Fort Collins, Colorado. And this tool is called the 4 Helpful Questions. And with this single powerful tool, you can evaluate any important ministry, event, a long-term project, or even the current state of your church to gain perspective on your work that can drive you forward to a better future. And to help me with this video, I've invited my wife and co-worker Gina Gramberg to help you. Gina is a trained Patterson Life Plan facilitator. I'm a trained StratOp facilitator, and we've used the 4 helpful questions in a variety of settings, churches, and teams. If you'll put this tool into your leader toolkit, you'll have an easy-to-use, powerful tool to bring positive organizational learning that you want for your church.
Hello, so let's go get it. We've drawn out the 4 helpful questions in a miniature on this flip chart. You can download a copy as a worksheet below this video, and I would encourage you to do that and have in front of you as we go through this. When we use this tool with the church or a work team, we'll put 2 flip chart pages side by side to create the chart. You can also do this on a big white board, but you will need a large area to write. At the top, write the name 4 Helpful Questions. This keeps everyone on task and focused. Then draw your vertical lines to create the 5 columns and label each column with its question, beginning with what's right, what is wrong, what is confused, what is missing, and perspective learnings. So under each of these questions, there is a word in parentheses. That is a mental prompt. It's very important. So under what's right, optimize. The things that are right are things we want to optimize. Under what's wrong, it says change. Things that are wrong, we want to change. What's confused, clarify. When something is confused, clarity is what improves it. And under what's missing is add. That is the improvement, is to add it. These prompts are subtle brain hints that direct our subconscious brain to work towards solutions even while our conscious brain is working at this top level of assessment. In the upper left hand, put the date of your review, and on the right hand, you put the name of the event that you're focusing on. So we are going to be using the event of Easter, the guest service portion of our Easter event, to do the assessment tool today. These two data points will orient you when you look at the tool later for year-over-year learnings. If you have a major event that repeats yearly, like Vacation Bible School, Friends Day, or a holiday event, one of the best practices of a learning organization is to go back in time and review the reflection activities of the past 3 years. If you compare the assessment for the last 3 years and you see that the same items are listed, it keys you into the institutional forgetfulness, lack of execution, or it could even be laziness. If you're looking at the 3 years of reviews and you see changes and movement, then you have got a cause to celebrate. You're learning from your experience and moving that ball down the field year over year. This is the sign of an effective learning organization.
Now, as you begin your review event with your team, give your people an overview to follow. So explain the overall purpose is to learn where we are right now so we can be better in the future. Then walk them through each of the columns so they know what to expect. What's right? We want to start with the positives. What's wrong? We'll recognize that some things didn't go as we planned. What's confused? Well, there are things that just didn't happen the way we thought they would. And what's missing? We might have discovered we overlooked something. And most importantly are the perspective learnings. And here we'll step back, gain a higher level of perspective, and summarize what we're learning. So now let's dig into the 4 Helpful Questions tool, beginning with what's right. Now, there's an important psychological effect created by starting with the positive. When you do any kind of evaluation, people's attention seems to immediately pull them to the negative. By starting with what's right, your focus becomes rooted in the victories and the positive, and this sets a positive frame for your team and helps people be more willing to express their thoughts for the other 3 questions. Your goal in the What's Right column is to list as many good items as your team can brainstorm. A good rule of thumb is to get your first wave of easy positives. Then search out a second wave by asking, what else? But don't stop there. Dig out a third wave of things that are right. Is there anything else? That's a good question to dig out that third wave of positives. So we're going to use our church's Easter event in our guest services as an example for us. And you're going to be able to download this sheet from below the video here. So I'm just going to put up a few things that we looked at. One, we had 31 new visiting families. We had 80 more people in Bible classes than average. That was a big deal for us. We got a very positive response from guests who received their follow-up letter, and then they got cupcakes. Those cupcakes are called Bliss cupcakes. And then finally, we had a huge number of volunteers. Ours is a large church, and we had 75 volunteers working the doors and greeting and helping people feel hospitality on that Easter Sunday.
So now that your people are talking and you've established a positive atmosphere, move toward the What's Wrong column. A good way to start by looking at the event is overall. How did it feel? Did we meet our expectations? Did you hear any negative comments or feedback? Is there anything obvious that went wrong? Such as technology? Did you run out of something? Once you've looked at the event as a whole, you can dig into specific areas of responsibility that were distributed among your team. So you can go around the room in a report format, gathering the perspective on the event from each of the major contributors. Did you notice anything from your perspective? Is a good question to ask. Continue to create a positive atmosphere as people open up. You're not reflecting on what's wrong in order to blame anyone. You are learning. You're learning what you need to change to do differently next time so that your next time is better than the last. Thank people for their insights, their thoughtfulness, their willingness to evaluate. Use phrases like, "That's helpful. You really hit something important," or "This will make a big difference for us." So the one that we want to put up here, you can see our whole list on your paper, but the one that we really want to emphasize is, we knew we had 31 new families because we handed out 31 gift bags, but we only got 3 connection cards. Very disappointing.
Once you get to this what's wrong column, you may find that people start wandering into the what's confused and what's missing columns. As a facilitator, keep your eye open for this. It's fine to go ahead and ask for clarification. Is this something that's wrong or is it missing? And generally, you want to let the person who brought up the idea decide where they think it best belongs. You do want to be sure you populate the what's wrong column appropriately, but don't sweat it when the ideas bleed into the other columns.
Now let's look at what is confused. What's confused allows your people to bring out their own confusions as well as things that may have been confusing during the event. A way to ask for items here is with the question, were there things that didn't make sense or didn't seem to connect? Another good question set is, did our people understand what was happening, what they were to do, how to do it? Again, you're gathering observations here and not making judgments on people or their work. So we're going to fill in this column just with a few. You can see our full list on your paper. So what was confused? We had confusion between the hosts in our sections versus our greeters at our doors. What the roles were there were confused. Also, our gift bags, all of our hosts and hostesses had gift bags, but when they ran out, it was too far away and they couldn't remember where the other gift bags were. So we're going to move straight into the what is missing column. What's missing is probably the most difficult column to populate. If something is missing, it's a void, and voids are often hard to see. Yet these missing items always exist. Some good questions to ask here are, what did we miss? What didn't happen that we thought would happen? Who wasn't there that we expected would be there, and why? And was there a next step after the event that we've discovered that we need? So what we noticed is we didn't have ushers. Also, our parking lot attendants didn't get out there. There were reasons for that, but we needed to put that in that we were missing them. And you can read the rest on here. And now we're going to move into the most important column, the perspective learnings.
The final column up here is perspective learnings. This is an important, critical column. This column is looking for a different kind of information. Here's where we want to gain some perspective height, to get off the ground level and get to that 5,000 and 10,000 foot levels. As the facilitator, I've found that it helps for me to physically take a few steps back, and I put my chin in my hand and I ask, now what should we learn from this? That sets people up in a physical posture to grasp what our task is at this point. And some helpful questions to ask here are, what do you see when you look at this? Is there an idea that jumps out at you? Or what might help us be better next time? It's important to remember that our purpose here is not to problem solve, it's to gain perspective. Problem solving can come later, but here we're looking for the bigger ideas that tell us about ourselves, how we work, what we expect, and what we value. So Gina's going to come and we'll put a couple of items up here for us that we learned. One was that we had a general lack of overall coordination. You'll see the other items on our sheet, but we also had silos among ministries. That was one of the reasons that the coordination was difficult. So lack of overall coordination and silos among ministries are two of our perspective learnings. Well, I hope you see the powerful simplicity of the 4 Helpful Questions tool. And you can use this tool with your team in as little as 20 minutes. I would suggest you keep your max at 60 minutes. You don't want to drag this out until it flounders. The one thing that you need to do right now as you come to the end of your spring surge is to schedule an hour for your team to gather and use this 4 Helpful Questions tool to review your spring surge work. Or if you just finished a big event, or if you're wanting to review your church and get a good sense of where you are today as a church. So get out your calendar, write down your date, and enjoy the experience of helping your church learn to be a learning organization today for a better future tomorrow. So until next time, be good and be godly.